All right, everybody, welcome to the World of Dragons podcast, the podcast where 2.5 dragons will discover, review, and then discuss dragon-centric content. You know, books, movies, TV shows.
Mostly books.
It's mostly books. Well, okay, because out of all dragon content in the universe, it's like 80% books, because books are just easier for...
Well, you just aren't looking hard enough. Stop looking at the book aisle and gotta turn towards the TV, my dude.
The problem is, you guys, it's like TV shows, movies, and video games take a lot more effort to make than a book. If one random fan is like, I'm going to sit down and make a story centered around my universe with dragons, it is much easier for them to write a book than to make a video game.
Yeah, but it's much easier to play a game than to read a book.
That's actually debatable. It depends on the game.
It's not. I'm sorry, you're going to lose this battle, Ray.
The thing is, okay, like the average book is like 12, 14 hours, right? Mm-hmm. If you sit down and just kind of truck through it. A lot of games are getting to like 20, 30, 40 hours playtime.
Okay, so if you start a new game of Skyrim and you just put it on the easiest difficulty and just ignore every side quest and go straight through the main campaign.
But also, you have to understand, go in blind, because you're comparing it to going into a book blind also. So going in blind, not knowing what's side and what's main, not knowing all the shortcuts and all the speedrun tactics.
But you're talking about shortcuts and speedrun tactics. And usually most games nowadays, they have some differentiating between the side quests and the main quests.
Yeah, the Skyrim main quest is always on the top of your quest list, and it uses a different symbol.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure an individual going in completely 100% blind into Skyrim would probably sink like about 40 hours into the game before they finally beat it.
I doubt we're going to find
For Dilettante and I, that's a far more enjoyable experience than staring at pieces of paper with words on them.
Paper. Started rubbing myself with my books, my book hoard. Just like,
The entire time I was reading book 4, I was like, ooh, opening the book too hard.
You know...
Like, I had to hold it.
I
had to hold it at the dumbest fucking angles, and like when I got,
you're breaking its spine.
When I got halfway through the book, like literally the halfway point, I was like reading a V, and I'm like, oh, I can't open it any more than this.
Yeah. You know when I've only seen it with cats, I think, but I'm pretty sure all animals do it when they find something they like. With cats, it'd be catnip or whatever, but like they just kind of roll around in it, like yeah, right on their back. Just imagine me doing that just on my like little pile of books and scrolls.
And you hear small tears, and you just eyes wide, and you start crying.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, I would have enchanted all my hoard to like.
That
not
sounds
tear.
like cheating.
Well, that's why you have magic. Like
magic
so they wouldn't.
Sounds like cheating.
The thing is, you would need to magically treat a hoard of literature to not like water damage or fade with time. You know.
Anyway, that's listeners.
One day we'll have just a drunken rambling on hoards in general.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to do for, the next episode, right?
It's not going to be really a ramble on hoards because we have a bunch of listener questions to go through.
Well, the next episode's going to be our freeform whatever because we can get you wasted
on something. We'll find something. But yeah, basically, so this episode, we're doing book 4 of Lazy Scales. But before we get into that...
What is it called?
It's called Broken Horns.
Book 4, Lazy Scales, Broken Horns.
It is plural, right? Horns?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. By DM Gillmore. But yeah, there's going to be like no pre-spoiler section like we usually do because this is book 4. Come on, everything's spoilers at this point. Yeah. Even mentioning a name lets you know that this person survives kind of deal.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, let's get into dragon news. Woo! Yeah, the weird beeping thing. Dilettante, on the scene.
This is Dilettante high in the sky above the streets of Florida. There's currently very high traffic of turtles these days. They have basically taken over the roads now. I have personally saved 3 of them.
You know,
Why would you save turtles?
Turtles are adorable, okay?
When I briefly lived in Florida with my grandparents, I got screamed at by a cop because he was like just chilling on the side of the road, and I saw a big ass turtle, and so I picked it up and I moved it to the side of the road and put it down, and he's like, "Don't you ever touch that again!" Ah!
Dilettante, you don't know WAF, so you won't understand this, but you're literally Sky at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
I know you don't know what that means, but just for the listeners who have read Dragon Slayer or book 14 and 15 of Wings of Fire, Yeah, Dilettante Sky.
Hey, well, I'll never understand that reference. Ain't no way I'm getting into 15 books.
Oh, you'll get there eventually.
No.
So do we not have any actual Dragon
not
news?
that I've seen. No, Glide is still in production. That's been the only thing I've been following so far.
There's a couple of Dragon games I've been stalking on Steam, but they're not coming out yet either. It's like a Dragons. I think it's Dragon's Wandering Tavern is one. Then there's that Dragon Island dating sim that Bantam noticed. And then there's a couple of other ones that I can't remember the name of, but they're like still in development too.
Yeah, nothing's been released.
So yeah, a couple slow weeks. So I guess the only real Dragon news is that our anniversary is coming up. I think it actually falls in July, but we're doing the celebration a little bit early, just because we technically started in like May, June of last year because we were recording stuff ahead of time and getting things all set up. The first episode just went live like July something. I don't remember the exact date, but we're basically there. A year of effort has been put into this show,
and I have been told by the other roommate that lives with us that he's amazed that I lasted this long.
Oh, he's amazed I lasted this long.
Yeah,
too.
he it was more of like a pat on the back, like, you have fun with your little podcast. It won't, like, not that he was anticipating we would fail, but he was like, I don't really see them carrying on very long.
I'm surprised it lasted this long, only because I thought you two had been like, oh my god, Ray tricked us.
Yeah, well, he did, and I do say that, and I do feel that, but I will I will tell, you can feel free to cut this out, but I will say that having fans is my motivation.
So you listeners who talk in our Discord and send us emails and talk to us on Reddit when we poke our heads there, you would keep the show are what keeps this show going.
Literally, because if nobody was paying attention and we were doing this and nobody was like commenting on anything, and we, I probably would have given up. Like I told Ray, one of the most exciting things ever for me. Like I buy artwork all the time. Like I buy commissions, and buying artwork for the Patreon tiers of the little kobolds and buying our new banner has been one of the like happiest moments for me. Like I'm like, oh my god, look, I'm making the Patreon pretty. I'm doing all the stuff that a professional would do.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and sit down. I have some time off, like next weekend, not this one, but next one. I'm gonna try and sit down and like make the Discord pretty. Like I'm gonna rename some of the chat rooms to be more in character. Since we run the show in character, I feel like the Discord should be in character, right? So rather than like the general chat, it'll be like the main plaza or something, right? But adding a few more rooms to make it a bit more organized, and then just naming them to be pretty. And yeah,
I was going to stick with the minion theme. Vankir minion, not those minions.
Perhaps they're either minions or they're basically tourists. We'll figure it out. Anyway, so yes. So next week will be... Not next week. I keep saying next week because that just flows so naturally, but we do this show every other week. Next episode, we're doing our anniversary special where we're going to just be answering fan questions given to us through either emails or the Discord. And so, yeah. So you have... From the time that this episode gets uploaded, you'll have about 10 days. No. From the time this episode gets uploaded, you have about 9 days or 8 days, 8.5 days because of time zones, from the time this episode goes up to send in your final questions to either our email or our Discord. Bantam, in case people, for whatever reason, stop listening because they don't want to get spoiled on the book, let's give the email and Discord stuff now.
All right. So our Twitter, we do have a Twitter. It's @officialwadpod. Our email is wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. You can send us questions there. And we have a Patreon at World of Dragons Podcast.
Yep. We do have a Discord, but Discord invite links are real nasty to try to read out loud. So the link will be in the comment, the show notes, whatever it's called, when I upload the episode. Yeah, when I upload the episode, and when I post it to the Wormworks subreddit and all that, it'll be there. We'll also have Dilettante make sure the invite link is active on the latest tweet where he probably announces this episode is uploaded.
It's actually our top pinned tweet. Should be.
Maybe just before or just after you you tweet that this episode is live, you tweet out a reminder for the anniversary and have the Discord link there again. All right, anything else to bring up real fast before we get into this book?
Just that this book was a lot less painful to read than the last one, and that's not a critique on the book. It's just I'm getting acclimated to reading again, which
Bantam's learning to love books once more.
Let's not say that.
Ray, you gotta understand, we're a long way away from that.
When someone's being whipped repeatedly, eventually it stops hurting as much.
But you're still getting whipped.
But I'm still getting whipped. Or a better analogy would be the shock collar from Futurama. Eventually, I'm just used to it, and I feel weird without it.
You guys make me sound so abusive.
No, it's just that it's just that in this day and age, with the amount of technology and movies and media that we have and distractions, the fact that anybody can sit down and just read a book is an admirable trait. And the internet has fully destroyed my brain. Video games have fully destroyed the rest of it, and yeah, it's really hard for me to sit in my bed and read a book knowing that my brain is like, please, for the love of God, give me something to look at. It's like I read the book in 3 chunks over the course of 3 days, and after each one I was just like, as soon as I clicked on a movie, it was just like, it was like sinking into a warm tub.
My eyes can rest.
Not really.
No, it's more that my brain can rest. Thing is that the actual problem is that my imagination has been shot. When I need to imagine, when I use my imagination for things that I want to create, like writing I want to create, my imagination goes into overdrive. When I'm watching a TV show or movie, I don't have to imagine anything because I'm seeing it. But when I'm reading a book, my imagination just goes, all right, I'll just fuck off then. And I can't picture these characters. I can't picture where they're standing when they're talking to each other, or what faces they're making, even when it's described to me. It's like they're one of the biggest problems for me in books is when there's more than 2 characters in an area and they're all talking. And it's like, even when the book is like said so and so, I'm like, oh, wait, what? Okay, this person said this.
I now imagine you needing like a little diorama that you can set up as you read and be like, all right, now this person moves over there.
I need little,
and then you like pick him up and wobble him as he talks, and you do it in his voice.
I need pogs. I need pogs with the images of the characters on them, and I need a table. Yeah, and it's like, okay, the crone is here, and Lewis, and Jeremy, and then just move those 3 little things into a triangle, and then just, yeah.
The thing is, it's like, I feel like you're making this up, but like, I also know that people's brains work differently, so it's like, I don't know. I'm like in this weird, like, that's weird, but okay. Alright, so right into the book?
Yeah.
Do I still get to put my little musical number here?
Sure.
I should, like, fast forward it. It's like, I think I have it as like a 30-second clip. I don't know how long it is, but like, I'll fast forward it to 5 seconds and just like speed through it.
You mean like, just play the whole intro, but in 5 seconds?
Yeah. Like, yeah, just like that.
Welcome back.
Alright. It's so hard to be so high energy. I'm a very mellow person usually.
Yeah, he is.
I don't have YouTuber or Twitch personality where I'm like always happy and like, hey, look at all my voice inflections. I can't do it. It feels so weird.
The thing is I'm very high energy when I'm talking about stuff that I'm passionate about, but or something that I'm very, very familiar with. So like Warhammer, mech stuff, Armored Core.
Oh yeah, I know about Armored Core.
I now know about Armored Core, and everything I know is against my will.
Yeah, same thing with me and Elden Ring. I know almost everything about the game against my will.
Really? I haven't talked to you about Elden Ring. Has it all been Bantam?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I tell him stories about like stuff that we did in Elden Ring or mods and...
Now, see, Dylan, to understand why this was cool, you need to know who this character was and his motivations.
Please. No.
Told Dilettante how fortunate he is that the online servers for all Dark Souls games are dead now.
We're really getting off topic now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm slapping Bantam. Down, boy. Oh, I do want to go on like one minor rambling, which is kind of like on topic, and it's the fact that every book has like weird like recaps in it. Like once, like the first time you see Lewis, it's always like Lewis used to be human and now he's a dragon, and he did this during the other books. You know, kind of like how authors will kind of help you like catch up.
Yeah.
When you
because
read it, right?
because theoretically these books come out a long distance apart from each other.
Actually, these ones would have been really close together because DM just kind of just
Flew through it.
yeah. But the thing is, like, I've always thought that was weird because I've always read them like binge style. Like, anytime I found a book series, it's always been towards the end of its life. So it's like if it's a 10-book series, then I read it when book 9 or 8 was out, so I could just kind of just breeze through it and not have to worry about anything. And so it always felt weird. Like, I always like skip major chunks of the first few chapters because, like, nope, I remember this. Yep, I know about this. Yeah, don't need this. And I was always like kind of against it, and always thinking, if I wrote a 3-book series, would I do this? It feels like it feels like padding. Like I'm just trying to get more words out of it or something. But the other day I started reading book. It's either book 3 or book 4 of the Snake Life series or whatever. And I was so lost. I'm like, wait, who's this person? Wait, when did that happen? Because it's been like a year and a half since I read the last installment because it just barely came out as far as I'm aware. And I'm like, all right, I'm actually missing the recap. So I get it now. I understand. No opinions. Okay, let's go.
we can't really sympathize with a book reader, Ray. I'm sorry. We've never been in that situation before.
You're just
Oh, you'll get there.
I don't want to be there.
I'm being dragged there by my tail.
Well, because like, you know how we read the first 3 books of Age of Fire and then just stopped because we agreed, because I convinced you that the last 3 were terrible.
Yeah.
Eventually, this could be like 4 or 5 years from now. Eventually, we'll probably read the book 4, 5, and 6 just to say we did. And at that point, you'll be like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah. I mean, why would we go to something we know is we got better things?
No, I'm assuming after like 5 years, we'll be out of better things.
Oh, trust me, I'll find it. I will dig so deep and find the most indie of indie dragon games to review.
We're all out of games.
Nope, there's plenty of it. At
that point, it's a drought of games and other visual media. It's all books, as far as the eye can see.
We're reviewing No, we're going to review Minotaur Simulator. I'm going to make it in the next 4 years.
We're just never going to get on topic because I now need to ask you, if you made something, a game or a book, would you actually want us to review it on the show?
No,
absolutely
does that not feel weird?
No, I would no, because any game I make is not material for the show. But also,
are you sure? We already did an erotic novel episode.
It would be way worse than that. But also because I know for a fact I can't handle criticism. That's why I don't post anything I write.
I would probably just not be in the episode while you review it, and then come back the next episode as like an interview with the creator, and we go from there.
Interview with the creator and host of the show, Dylan. No, I agree that I probably wouldn't, just because I wouldn't want to have a spoiler section. I'm not going to spoil my own creation. Go read it. Maybe like a year later when I'm like about to release the second one.
Yeah.
If I did like a series. But yeah, that was just a random thought I had. All right, anyway, on to Lewis and Friends.
It's Lazy Scales. I think throughout the course of this book, he's starting to get more and more agitated by being called Lewis.
No, he's only doing that because he doesn't want Martha and the people who are spying on him to know that he used to be human.
No, toward the end I said throughout the course of the book. Toward the end of the book, he actually gets offended by being called Lewis.
I must have missed that nuance.
It was after he.
It's a very big nuance there, buddy.
Yeah, it's after he came back from having his soul ripped out by Last Hope.
Oh, no, that's something else entirely. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But no, the reason why he's still, for the most part, with, that little moment, I'm pushing that aside because I'll get to that later. For the most part, he still considers himself Lewis. And this actually has been brought up in like some other discords that the author hangs around in. Apparently some people thought that it was almost like a trans allegory and he was being dead named by like Becca and the author for always calling him Lewis. And it's like, no, Lazy Scale was just a moniker that he uses to hide or to blend in or to not take responsibility for what he did before. He still considers himself Lewis.
Yeah.
So
the book starts, if I'm correct, the book starts with essentially the knowledge that Lucy, Becca's girlfriend, is now a dragon. she has a very similar awakening as Lewis did in a hospital, killing a nurse, bursting out through the wall. Except they are able to subdue her and capture her quickly before she goes on a quote-unquote rampage.
I don't think she rampaged.
No, I said
she
before.
did. She killed one person, but then stayed on the outside of the hospital. She didn't really go out.
I said before she could rampage, as Lewis did, because Lewis kind of rampaged. And
yeah, just setting. You just setting the scene, basically. I thought you were going somewhere with this, but I guess you're just setting the scene.
That's essentially where this book picks up. Is at the end of the last book.
If you want to skip the prologue, then yeah, that's where this book picks up.
Yeah, the prologues are weird. They're kind of like little flavor bits from like that you didn't cover, that weren't covered in older books. I mean, like in book 2's prologue, I believe they went back to when Lewis was born, like he was a little baby, and it had very little impact on the story. It just kind of gave you like a little bit of lore, and that's it. So the prologues aren't really important in the grand scheme of things.
Well, I'm gonna like completely fuck this up, but like a prologue is supposed to be a little bit extra, yeah. So not usually that important. It's a little extra, a little background, and it's usually different from a chapter 1 by either a time span. So for that example, it's because it was back in time when he was little, or a character's point of view that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like in this book, it was because it was the crone's point of view, which I think was really weird because DM actually jumps around point of views a lot. So having the prologue be separated just because it happened to be the crone and or Lucy's point of view, or Last Hope's point of view, I think, didn't really feel very prologue-y. It already felt chapter 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. I don't know.
So what you're saying is I should have read the
considers a prologue. Did you just skip it?
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
I didn't, but essentially the main story starts with it picks up a couple days after the events of the last book. The last book during the major battle, Last Hope's transformation spell essentially goes off and is deflected from Becca and hits Lucy. Lucy ends up unconscious, but no one really thinks too much about it during the final battle because they have other things to worry about.
Yeah, they don't know it's the transformation spell going off at the time.
They just think it's like a spell or something.
Even though she's having the same symptoms Lewis had before he transformed.
Well, she didn't have them when she first fell unconscious. She just fell unconscious. They brought her to the hospital, and nobody...
Lewis's was very violent because his happened really fast. Hers happened over the course of 3-4 days, so I don't think she had the whole vomiting and fever and all that.
They actually address that in the book, that that those that are descendant from fair folk, their transformation is very, very quick and very brutal, whereas regular humans, which Lucy's a regular human, it is much more gradual. The book picks up with, so after I guess the final battle, they brought Lucy to the hospital because they thought maybe she just got knocked out by getting hit or something, and she's transforming, and no one is really aware of it because she didn't have the same symptoms as Lewis, and the only one who was aware of it was Last Hope, who now had a new haunt, so essentially a new anchor point he could, if you imagine that Last Hope is anchored within 30 feet of the person he's haunting, he now has another one. And anytime another person is tagged as undergoing a transformation, he can then move to them.
If he focuses on it, because I think at one point he doesn't notice there's another one until they point it out to him, and then he sits there, looks to the side, and thinks you're right, I can feel another one.
Yeah, or I think he actually mentions that he felt another one briefly, but it must have been killed or something.
Yeah, they do offhand mention that somebody didn't survive the transformation.
Yeah. This is kind of jumping a little bit toward the 1/4 of the way through the book, but I just wanted to point this out because I thought it was really funny. There's a passage in the book that when I read it, it was that meme of the guy pouring wine while, wide-eyed, like when the bad guy starts making sense. So the passage goes, "It's a problem, Last Hope," Lewis said sharply, "because people are going to pass out in the middle of what they're doing and wake up days later as dragons. What if people pass out while they're driving cars or flying planes? What if they crash and die? That event alone will cost millions of people their lives before they can even turn into dragons." And then Last Hope says, "You're not making your case well." it's like death of humans and transformation of dragons. Like it, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm on Last Hope's side of this. Like, I don't see a problem with this.
Yeah, you're our resident
Human hater.
What's the word? Misanthrope?
Yeah,
Misanthrope?
absolute. Yeah. Lucy transforms. She becomes a rose gold, and I guess it's described sometimes as like whitish, mostly rose gold dragon. She still cannot speak, which my personal opinion on the fact that she can't speak is a little weird because most people who are mute, it's something wrong with their vocal cords or something wrong with their physical, whatever. But she got transformed into a dragon. Theoretically, the dragon part would have repaired whatever damage she would have been able to speak again. Maybe she just
the exact same way.
Maybe she just didn't try, but
no, she tried at one point when she was trying to let Lewis know that she can't talk. She tried to say something that came out as like a weird squeak or whatever, then pointed her throat and shrugged, some weird pantomiming before they got back over there.
But I don't think that if I were mute and I were unable to talk and then I transformed into another creature completely, like mind, body, and soul, I don't think I would still be mute. I probably wouldn't be very coherent when I talk because I haven't talked in my whatever, but I would believe she could talk.
We'll have to ask the author when we get the interview, because it would come down to what was the exact lettering of the spell, because the whole letter of the law thing.
Yeah.
It's like if the spell tagged someone who only had one arm because of reasons, either birth defect or an injury, and then they get transformed, are they still missing a limb?
I'm going to make a hypothesis and say that he did it just to try to preserve the character. Lucy being mute is kind of what is part of her key personality.
Yeah, I think we're just kind of reading too much into this. It's like, you know what, she's a mute character, let her stay mute. You're right, it's her character.
There are rules in a universe.
Yeah. But, so Lewis is tasked with, or he takes it upon himself to bring her back to his cave and get her acclimated. They get her some food to calm her down. One
of my notes is when they call him over to try to calm her down, and they're like, we can't get her to leave or whatever because they're worried that she's gonna hurt people. I remember the exact complaint they had, but Lewis is like, has anyone tried asking nicely? And everyone just looks around, and he's like, of course not. It's like, why would you ever think to just ask the dragon to leave? Why do you have to just start shooting it?
I don't think they shot her yet.
No, but they were being aggressive towards her. Yeah. The point is that they didn't try to just talk.
Yeah. Well, that to me is forgivable. The first dragon killed a bunch of people and had to have a shock collar put on. Then the second one shows up. You don't have enough of a pool to
sample
size to know, and honestly, I would err on the side of caution. Surround it, guns up. I don't fault the police for it. I mean, they didn't shoot. So Lewis kind of takes it upon himself to teach her what it is to be a dragon, even though she can see Last Hope, right? Yeah, she can see him. It's explained later on in the book. Lucy says that that because Last Hope is very long-winded and very proper and old, the way he teaches is not really good. The way Lewis is able to take the lessons that he's already learned and make them much easier to understand, she picked up on it much quicker.
It's the difference mostly between a lecture and hands-on.
Yeah.
Because Last Hope can't really
interact,
do anything hands-on right anymore. Yeah. A couple of things I want to talk about by this point in the book. One of the first things is I don't like that Lucy's a dragon. Or I didn't. And it's mostly because I felt like it was just moving too fast. It happened too soon. Granted, I love books, and I could read a 20-hour book, right? And you guys would just crumble and wither at the thought. But I still felt like these books were really short compared to other novels, and so it would be okay if they were a bit longer and they took a bit longer to get to things. I wanted a bit more of just Lewis interacting with the scientists by himself, Lewis learning stuff from Last Hope, maybe some more than just one fighting style, right? Maybe we actually get the whole zoo exhibit thing to open up. Just just Lewis doing his thing before we finally get another dragon added. I just felt like it happened too fast.
I will agree. I'm not entirely complaining about the book length, but before we even read the first one, you described the book to me, and the brief description you gave, it made it sound like way more of a tame, happy-go-lucky story, because you were like, yeah, and they force him to be a zoo exhibit to help rebuild the town, and everybody knows, they're like, hey, it's a dragon. And in my head, I pictured something like Kictropolis, not what is in this.
Yeah, this entire book series is just bam, 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 like one event after another. It's like, slow down, let's acclimate to the new situation first. I wanna just see Lewis come to terms with his like new dragon body and how the town interacts with him. I want more of this, more character stuff and less plot stuff, right? But that is I understand my personal preference. I enjoy just character interactions like that. Like there have been other books where people have complained to have moved really slow or felt boring, but yet I've loved them just because it's a difference in what people want out of things. So that's just my opinion. So it moved too fast. Lucy shouldn't be a dragon for at least 3 more books.
Yeah.
I just like fluff. I want more fluff.
Yeah.
No
Personally,
fluff.
I like fluff. Dilettante, I'm making you fluffy.
No, nice, thin, compact, smooth. That's we need. We don't need fluff. We need smooth.
Dilettante's not fluffy.
Nope.
As in covered in fluff or fat?
As in he's now a furred dragon.
No.
Oh, so comfortable to sleep on, though.
No.
But
My belly is just as soft with or without fur. It'd be perfect. And my
Fluff.
wings are the perfect blanket. You hush.
we get...
No, I'm taking away your wings and giving you fluff.
Oh, you can't do that. No, so what we do is we get Dilettante, like, absolutely quote-unquote drunk on food. Like, just so much chicken that he lapses into a food coma. And then...
Do you realize how much chicken that is?
We have to go with turkey for the tryptophan.
Right. And then when he passes out, we start grafting fur onto him.
I mean, I can just, like, cast a spell on him.
Okay,
It's like, hey,
do that.
You're fluffy
Do
now.
that. And then when he wakes up, he is Fluffy Dragon.
Nope.
Anyway, back to the book. So I felt it moved too fast. However, if I can just, like, look past that, get over that, whatever. Lucy is a really cute dragon.
Yeah, she is.
Just the way she acts.
Constant. Can you imagine just being constantly flipped the bird by a dragon? Like a dragon literally just like, because it very frequently describes that she flips 2 birds. So she literally has to sit on her haunches and just flip someone off with both hands.
Yep.
Can you flip someone off with only 3 fingers, though?
Yes, there's still a middle.
There's still a middle.
It's more of a middle than with 5 fingers. Or whatever. 4 fingers and a thumb. Just pretend your pinky doesn't exist till a 10. You still got a middle finger you can flip off with.
Even if you only had 3, like two and a slightly, opposable one. Even if
No, then you couldn't, because then it's like you're just pointing at somebody.
Well, yeah, but if you're doing 2 and you're exposing the back of your finger while pointing up, I mean, it's pretty obvious what that gesture means. Especially if you make the gesture, thrust it in their direction, and then put them down. Like that's.
I think there'd be more powerful gestures at that point.
Yeah, like dragging the claw across the throat.
Or the I don't know which culture it belongs to, but the one which it's just a fist and you kind of like slap your other arm against the elbow crook of I can't describe the motion.
I know what you mean. You take your left hand, put it in the elbow of your right arm, and you thrust your fist up.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, go fuck yourself. That's what that basically means.
Yeah, I don't remember what culture that belongs to, but yeah, they'd with only 2 fingers and a thumb, they would be better gestures for it at that point. But yeah, so while Lucy is kind of cute as a dragon in the way that she acts, kind of her mannerisms, the fact that she's got a sign actually does add to the cute factor a little bit. And it does feel kind of good, I guess, seeing her being like lost and confused and like, why is this happening? And Lewis having to kind of guide her through it, especially when they get to the point where she's like, I remember them getting mad at you for eating people, but I don't understand why.
Yeah, she dealt with the one thing, and I'm not entirely sure if it's a good or bad thing. I couldn't decide while I was reading the book, but it's worth pointing out. She came to terms with being a dragon with no possibility of going back to human really well. Like, she didn't really seem all that bothered. Like, Lewis still had an internal struggle for, like, a good several chapters. She was just like, I'm a dragon now. And the lesson started, and she took to them really well. The only time I
Yep.
can recall that she was even upset about being a dragon was when she attempted to break up with Becca.
Yeah. But, okay, so oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts on Lucy as a dragon in general that I'm trying to figure out like the best way to like say them all. But it's like, while I agree that a lot of her interactions were cute and like I was looking forward to there eventually being a second dragon, this was just too soon, whatever. I don't like how Lucy adapted so fast. I really don't. And I don't know if that's most part of it is because of the just, the book moving fast, but I hate it. I hate how she just immediately could do fire breath. Like she knew how it's like, you just flex your neck muscles, it's easy. I hated how she had ice breath. I hated how she just even Last Hope says like, oh, she's a much better dragon than you. Like she learned to hunt real fast. Granted, she was, quote, hunting something that fought back rather than runs away. So I feel like that's not a very fair comparison, but I hate how much of a natural she was at it.
I don't know.
I mean, she likes dragons probably as much as you do, Ray. She's into monsters. Her and Becca is just
that was
established.
Becca. Lucy didn't really give a shit.
Yeah, Lucy agreed with Becca that Lewis turning into a dragon was hot.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
So she has probably some natural affinity for this, and thus gave her an edge. Whereas Lewis,
I don't care what explanation you want to give for it. I just don't like it, and it gets even worse with Becca later. And so, like, I'll go on a Becca rant later, but I just want you to understand now, since we're kind of going through the book in like older events, I want you to understand now. I don't like it, and this is basically like the start of the downfall of the series for me.
You don't like it because it isn't really as much padded out as Lewis's is. But I'm thinking from the author's standpoint, he already did that whole arc with Lewis. It would just be more padding if he were to redo it again with both Lucy and Becca. So he just keeps it concise to move the story along.
Can I make...
Well, the thing is, you don't... It's only padding if you would go through and explain every scene, like, oh, this is her learning to do this, this is her learning to do that. You can have, like, 2 weeks later, and she now knows how to do this stuff. I just don't... It was still way too instant. Like, I don't care timeline-wise.
Can I make a prediction? Would you have liked it a lot better if... Let's say, for example, this is a total 10-book series, right? Would you have liked it better if 7 of those books it was only Lewis ever? And then another... I feel like part of your bias is coming from your love affair with being the only one and being special.
Yeah.
Because
it's quite possible.
Because the fact that they took away Lewis's... I will admit, I felt really bad for Lewis when she did everything better than him, and she was getting praise from Last Hope, and Lewis was like, this is bullshit. I felt bad for him. And I was like, and so with what you're saying, I feel like you're putting yourself in
I do see myself as Lewis in a lot of ways. And like, even when we did the first book, I said, I'm Lewis, you're Jeremy, and Dilettante's Brandon, right? So yes, I do put myself in Lewis's position a lot, because it would be a dream to be born a human and then turned into a dragon and being the only one. Yeah. Yes, I'll admit that. And there are a lot of times that you and I have talked privately where it's like, if I was the only dragon in a world full of humans and blah, 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 right? So I'll admit, yes, a lot of it does come from that. And that's why this stuff with Lucy happening so fast and her just getting the hang of it, and then later on with Becca, it really hurts. Like, hurt might be like the wrong word, like, but it just really sucks. Yeah. And I don't like it. And this book series was supposed to be like the Lewis book series, right? Like, that's why he's the main, that's why he's the one turns into the dragon. That's why we follow him for like all of the books up until now. And I just feel like at this point, and it happens much more in the next 2 books too, it's just the rug is just being pulled out from under him, and it's not fair.
No, I totally get that from the end.
It's like, hey, Lewis, you were the main character for 3 books. Now step aside. It's going to be Lucy and Becca's turn.
Yeah. Something that you were saying about Dilettante being Brandon. There's so much, like,
you're starting to see it now.
It's wonderful. Toward the end of the book, there's a scene where they're leaving for Wales, and Brandon grabs all of his guns and puts them in a duffel bag, and the crone is like, "Why are you bringing guns? Those are useless." And he's like, and the one line where it says he narrowed his eyes and hugged his duffel bag closer. And she goes, "Don't worry, no one's going to step on your Second Amendment rights." It's like, holy crap.
And then wasn't there at some point, like I think it was Jeremy, where someone's like, I don't think you're gonna be able to bring those through customs, and he's like, oh,
Yeah. So Crystal took the guns and left them on the plane.
oh, it was Crystal. I can't remember who said it. I just remember someone said
Well, it was no. I think Martha said it, but Crystal took the bag.
Okay.
It was
But
one
yeah,
of the
it's
most
like-
tragic moments of the book.
No,
See-
no, actually, and we'll get to it. So I'm just gonna say the most tragic part of the book to me was Jeremy. No, not Jeremy. Yeah, Jeremy.
If you're talking about the mother scene, it was Jeremy.
No,
and Brandon,
no. Shit. Well, what's the name of the other dragon then?
Becca?
No,
Oh,
because they called him Jer at some point.
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah, the
well,
newest
that
dragon.
was his human name.
Yeah, that part fucking hurt me.
Dude, okay, my brain is blending all the books together. He does get his dragon name in this one, right?
No.
No?
Just call
Okay.
him Jerry.
Yeah, because I know him by his dragon name, and I can't remember which book he got, and I'm like, my mind is like auto-filling in the dragon name for when I was reading this book, and I'm like, no, I don't think he got it yet. But I love him. He's adorable.
All right, so I'm going to say something controversial that might slightly hurt Ray's feelings, but here is why you shouldn't read an entire book series and then make us read it and you not go through it again. Because this is
I go through
this
it
is
again,
like the
but
fourth
it still
this
bleeds.
is the fourth or fifth time you've said it's bled though. Like you can't remember which book it is anymore.
It's because when I first read them, it was a binge. I read them all in like 2 days. I go through them again, damn it. I'll admit, when I go through them again, I go much faster. I really only read the dialogue. I kind of skip over most of the paragraphs that are just descriptions because it's like, yep, I remember this. Yep, I remember this. Because I've read it really recently. And so I have a couple bleed problems, but I still know what happens.
Okay. This book also made me really like the crone character. Although, so I don't know how much Diletan picked up on the details, but the fact that the crone, with every spell she cast and everything she was trying to do, she became more and more wrinkled and her eyes sunk in and her hands all like gnarled and whatever. I'm like, she's becoming Palpatine. The fair folk literally turn into Palpatine. Unlimited power!
The attempt of my life has left me scarred and deformed.
All I could picture was just a female Palpatine waddling around with the rest of them.
I actually envisioned her as the old lady, when the evil queen from Snow White turns into the old lady.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I imagined her the entire time reading this series. Apple?
But yeah, the crone realizing, like, I would not have thought that that the role of villain would have switched from the crone to Last Hope, though.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Why is he gonna be the big bad?
What?
I'm sorry. So the people who listen to this aren't going to know, but like one of our live audience members just like dipped out because he's got to go take an exam. But the timing of I wouldn't expect the role of villain to switch from, and then he just leaves. I'm like, oh, he doesn't want to get spoiled.
I did have a brief moment of, oh no.
So like I know that's not what it was, but just it was just comedic timing that no one else will get but us.
So
unless you join the $5 Patreon tier, then you can have the comedic timing as well.
So yeah, the role of villain was very much the crone in the last book, and in the beginning of this book, toward the beginning of this book, the crone is in Wales, in Last Hope's old lair, basically his library, and
it was the prologue that Dilettante skipped over.
And the thing is there's a summoning circle or a magic circle, and the magic circle is gathering power and then sending out pulses that will transform someone on the planet. And the problem is that it's only selecting those who have the fair blood, because they can use their latent magic to assist with the transformation, which is why they go faster. And the crone has exhausted her mana trying to stop this spell circle, and she can't do it. And so she is left weak and useless, and then she realizes, oh my god, I'm gonna need Last Hope's help. And so she shows up back in the Washington. So yeah, the book takes place in Washington, I think, because they mention Seattle a lot and it's nearby. But she needs Last Hope's help. And when the entire situation is described to Last Hope, like, hey, everyone on the planet is going to become a dragon. It's going to happen faster and faster and faster. this needs to stop. And he's just like, oh my God, this is great. Thank you. Oh my God, my life's work. And it's like, I don't understand why they thought that was going to convince him to stop.
He seemed a lot sassier in this book than the other
Yeah,
three.
so
because
I have some feelings about Last Hope also. I got feelings about a lot of people. Like I said, this book, when I first read the series, like however long ago that was, it was only a couple months ago. It wasn't that long. But Last Hope was my favorite character. And then this book ruined him. And I was very upset. This book, when I had only read the first 4, this book was my least favorite. Like, I didn't like the direction this book went in. Both because it went too fast. Lucy was being mean to Lewis, not in character, but like just, you know. And then they fuck up Last Hope. And it's like, dude, why are you ruining this perfectly good series?
I'm devil's advocate for DM here, okay?
Defend him.
I am going to defend him. Because, listen, picture you are Last Hope, right? You are dead. You think, oh my God, my entire race is destroyed. But you have this one last ditch effort to try to revive your race. Now you find out that it's working. The fact that they keep describing him flipping through the air, like doing little loops or whatever. Yippee! And it's like, he's ecstatic. His life's work is fulfilled. He succeeded in his grand plan. Every villain or even hero across all media, they have a grand plan, and it never comes to fruition. His plan came to fruition. He's ecstatic.
Right, but my problem comes with what Lewis and everyone else's problem was. Like, turning every single human into a dragon sounds great. Like, a planet full of dragons does sound great, but the sheer amount of dragons, a lot of them were going to die out.
Yeah.
Because, again, the lack of food. And he's like, well, that's fine because cannibalism's okay. And it's like, you know, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like there's not enough empathy here.
The survival of the fittest. Like, you know, I think that the whole that whole conversation where Lewis was trying to get him to understand, like, but millions and millions of dragons will die. And he's like, well, yeah, the weak ones will. And it's like, I agree with him. I agree with Last Hope there. And it's like, yeah, it will regulate itself. It's just going to be a rough adjustment. And I don't necessarily agree with Lewis then comparing it to the Dragon Wars. The difference with that is that was murder for you believe in something different sake instead of I'm starving, I need food. You know, it's like I completely agree with Last Hope.
It's I see your point of view, but I don't like it. It's still a big feels bad man scenario, and I think I just personally like society too much to have that much lack of empathy.
I will say that on your side, I believe that it would be more beneficial for the dragons if, I can't believe I'm going to say this, if a lot of humans did survive. And the reason why is there was one throwaway. Because
dragons need minions.
No, it's not that. It's not that. There was one throwaway line that made me think this, and it was when Lewis was flying to Seattle for the airplane. And he said that he didn't bother talking to Lucy because the wind was so loud. And he's like, I wish they made dragon-sized headphones so I could at least listen to music. And I was like, that's why you need humans. Because you need the humans to make all the stupid bullshit that humans have right now, but dragon-sized.
Yeah. Another side tangent. Finish yours and then I have a side tangent.
But yeah, it's like leaving humans alive for the industry to create products for giant dragons.
So they're minions at this point.
Yeah.
They exist for dragon's sake.
and yeah, if all of them were gone, dragons wouldn't really be able to, you know, have...
Well, back to the Stone Age for us.
Back to the Stone Age, essentially, yeah.
My side tangent is, well, like I said earlier in this show, that a world full of nothing but dragons would be good, right? Like, I can see that. I get that, and I see its appeal. And again, with Wings of Fire, my biggest complaint about the latest books is that the book was originally pitched as a world of dragons, and now they're like changing their mind on it. And I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil it when this is not that episode. But the point is, like, I understand, yes, a world of dragons, good. Could be fun, could be interesting. I also believe that worlds where dragons and humans live together and either like literally live together, like in the same house, like a dragon could be roommate with a human, right? Mm-hmm. Or just simply working together, or even simply just fighting all the damn time. Like whatever situation you want, a world with both humans and dragons is still just as interesting, and sometimes even a bit more interesting, because then you get the whole clash of cultures and clash of cultures and clash of physiology, and that's just much more interesting story-wise. And so, like, turning every single human into a dragon and then having, let's face it, numbers-wise, with how much food they need, probably like 80% of the dragons just die off and kill each other off and whatever. It's like, that doesn't sound like a good time.
Yeah, I see that. It would be much more ideal if for every 100 humans there was one dragon, or maybe even 1,000. You know, like each dragon takes over a town, and that's like their kingdom.
Especially because in this universe, dragons are not social creatures. They mentioned there was a history of a dragon city at one point, but like a lot of times when Last Hope describes dragon culture, it's always like, no, they don't live together except when they have to or when they mate, but like each dragon has its territory and whatever, right? And so it's like, I don't remember where I was going with this. I already lost my train of thought. But it's like, with dragons not being able to live together like that and having to spread out that far because you need to make sure you have enough territory to be able to feed the dragon and all that, it's like, there can only be so many dragons then.
In a perfect idealized scenario for this would be just enough dragons to take, each dragon gets one city or town, you know, like, let's say like 1 million dragons. That would be probably a decent number, 1 million dragons. And then you just change the name of the town. So instead of, you know, Seattle, it would be Last Hope or something. And
why not New Hope?
New Hope, or no, because but like that would be the ideal scenario. So I understand that it is bad if every single human in the world turns into a dragon, because then technology and industry and all that stuff would probably fall apart. And not because dragons don't know, but because it's probably just beneath them or not worth it. On top of that, it's probably a lot harder with big claws than it is with, you know, small hands. Like I highly doubt a dragon is going to be able to solder, you know, a circuit board with their big ass hands.
And the thing is, I feel like Last Hope should have been able to grasp that. Like, they should have been able to, like, convince him. There should have been a middle ground that he would have been okay with, right? Especially after seeing how Lewis interacts with the humans here. It's like, it's fine. There's no more dragon slayers, and he's actually cared for. And while maybe a little demeaning at times, it's like, still, surely he could eventually see the usefulness of humans. But I feel like deep down, I feel like the author ruined Last Hope. But I feel like what he may have been going for was similar to how when they changed into dragons, Lewis's and Lucy's mental state changed where they couldn't understand certain concepts. I feel like him being dead and being a ghost or whatever has also like altered his empathy or whatever.
Well, the examples that I gave about, you know, leaving humans alive for technology's sake, that would only be something that Lewis and the others would care about. Last Hope that never had technology, so I don't think he'd give a shit.
Right, but again, still, I feel like Last Hope was wise enough to understand that there could be deals and compromises made.
Yeah, Tree Cynics agreeing that Last Hope turning into a ghost might make him less sympathetic. On top of that, keep in mind, Last Hope's only goal is to make more dragons. I don't think he even thought further than that. He's just like, as long as there's at least one dragon, my kind will survive. I don't know,
I didn't think I'd get this far.
Yeah, and then he got further than that. You know, like, what's better than one dragon? 2 dragons, male and female. Holy shit, here's a third. Oh my god, I'm gonna get more? And it's like, that's all I think he was so narrow-minded in his goal that he didn't even think about the repercussions, and even when the repercussions were pointed out to him, he just went, you don't know that that's gonna happen. Like, fuck it. Like, it's not like he can stop it either, you know? Or maybe he could.
He did agree early in the book that billions of dragons dying is he not an ideal situation.
He said that, yes, and then Lewis was like, will you help me stop it? And he goes, no. If you can stop it on your own.
No, I don't think I will.
No, I don't think I will. And then just disappear. No, I don't think I will.
So you're going to get mad at me again because, again, I have a bit of book bleed going on in my brain. Did they explain in this book what will happen if the crone dies?
No.
No. Okay, that's the next book then. That actually might be book 6 now I think about it. Okay, so point is, I'm not going to spoil it. If every single human died, something bad would happen. And Last Hope should know about that. And so I feel like maybe the author didn't think of it until book 6 when he decided to add it in. But the point is, something bad will happen. Last Hope should know about it, and so him being okay with every human dying, I don't feel like that's in character.
I will chalk that up to I didn't think I'd get this far in writing. I think it's a common problem. Again, it's like in an ideal world, an author will write like a 10-book series, but they'll do it all in the course of like 2 or 3 months while everything is fresh in their brain, but that's just not realistic.
I think indie authors can do that because they usually want to get their thoughts on paper before they try to do anything with it. Officially published authors that are like on contract with different publishers or IP holders, like whatever, they can't, because it's like, we need to have this book done by this time so it gets released for this event, and so you got to write it down, and then it's like, all right, cool, now that's done, work on the next one so it's done by this time, right?
As far as I know, only 2 authors have ever avoided that trap, and that's H.P. Lovecraft and J.R.R. Tolkien, because both of them created an entire like Bible about their world and cultures and languages and stuff, so they had a very firm foundation to start building off of.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also not realistic because both of those people were crazy. So
the good kind of crazy.
Well, but J.R.R. Tolkien was the good kind of crazy. H.P. Lovecraft was the bad kind of crazy.
All right, Dilettante, what are your thoughts on Last Hope? Because it's been just Bantam and I screaming at each other for a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for a point to interject, but then you guys cover everything, and I was like, oh.
Well, you gotta learn to speak up.
I do. You guys never speak down when I'm speaking up.
If you did try to interject, I didn't hear it, and I'm very sorry. What are your thoughts on Last Hope?
As far as character development goes, I'll agree with you. He did go in a very south direction. He went from like reviving a species to just straight up genociding another species. It just was a complete 180. Also, are we going to talk about the end, or are we saving that for later? Because that's where most of my thoughts lend up to.
Oh yeah, the unforgivable.
Yeah, well, all that. I've got some thoughts on that.
You know what? I guess we can talk about the unforgivable right now, since it's tied to Last Hope, and so we just kind of stay on topic.
All right, so is he gone? Like, is that it for Last Hope? Is he easy?
He moved. He passed on. He went across the bridge and saw his family.
Is this like a Ray, please spoil me kind of thing?
Like 50% yes.
Last Hope will never, quote, set foot on the mortal plane again.
Okay, well, he never set foot on the mortal plane throughout this book, so that's not that's not an answer.
And actually, that's not entirely true. Shit, is it book 6? It's either book 5. I think it's book 6. Book 6, they do a summoning on him to try to talk to him. You know, like a good old fashioned Ouija board, like, "Hey, Last Hope, we gotta talk," kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And then there are a couple of scenes in mostly book 6. There might be 1 or 2 in book 5. Again, they're bleeding in my brain. Where you do see Last Hope in the Dragon Afterlife. So as a character, he shows up, but he is no longer really a part of the gang, let's call it.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I know. Again, I love Last Hope, and the fact that he's already gone is like, I hate that. Why you don't move him on? He's supposed to he's Ghost Dad. He needs to stay with Lewis. He was supposed to, I wanted to, like, if I had wrote this, he would have been stuck to Lewis for like the entirety of Lewis's life. Like, he just would have been like his guide for like forever.
Yeah, because he's got to rebuild a whole dragon civilization. Okay. He kind of needs an advisor for that.
Yeah.
If I had a ghost entity that could see me and talk to me and interrupt me at every moment of my fucking life, I'd kill myself. I'd never have any privacy ever.
It's basically me right now, though.
It's not, because you nap. You at least...
The Last Hope regenerates.
Also, I can go to work on Tuesdays and you don't, so...
And you hate those days.
They're boring, but I get my work done faster because you're not there for me to distract myself.
Yeah, you distract me more than I distract you when I'm there, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of times when we're working together that he's just...
Do you notice me trying to, like, sidle away?
Yeah, I do sometimes, and then I'm like, okay, all right. And then other times I'm like, too bad.
Also, heaven scenes. I don't know why, but I feel like those are like the cheesiest things you could do. I felt like I was getting emotional constipation with the whole Last Hope meeting his family and shit.
Is that your Christian upbringing just makes it feel weird for you?
It's not only that, but it's more just like it's like the author trying way too hard to make up for all the emotional gut punching of fucking Last Hope trying to kill Lewis's soul. So here's all this heartwarming shit in Dragon Heaven.
And see, this is why I feel like they handled Last Hope really poorly, this book, is because, well, Bantam's like on Last Hope's side, like, no, this was his goal, this was the intention, and this would be good if all the humans died. He went technically, this isn't full-on Christianity, but he technically went to limbo. He was not allowed into Dragon Heaven at first, because what he did was very, very wrong.
Yeah, more emotional gut punching, and it just, tries to 180 everything.
Do you want to hear a tiny gripe I've had throughout this whole book? And the book before it, I think. Dragons referring to other dragons as people. I don't think a dragon would refer to another dragon as people. Because, what
would they call them? Dreeple?
No, kin. Or literally anything but people. People is humans. And
is it?
Yes. And
that okay. That's okay. So in this world on Terra, that's what humans used to refer to humans because that's all there is. If this was a world where there were humans and dwarves and elves, I think people would maybe encompass all of that. It wouldn't just be only humans.
And it could be a translation from ancient Draconian that, for whatever reason, how they refer to themselves as dragons, it translates to person in English.
Because a dragon would still say, "This is my person," as they touch, "This is my person. I am my own person." There would not be another word for that.
Or you get the bullshit a fantasy word for everything. That you hate.
It read bad to me. When Lewis yelled at Last Hope, it's like, "This is your people," and it's like,
Yeah,
no, this is your kin.
What that actually means.
This is your kin would have sounded so much better.
That's literally what people actually means.
Yeah, but the thing is that we are readers.
Okay, why the little meme of the spider on the bongos? Let me play the song of my people. His people were spiderkin. I'm bringing memes into this to convince you that that's what the word people means.
Dilettante bringing up dictionary terms. Fuck you.
I'm proving Bantam wrong in the audience.
Whatever.
High five, Dilettante.
I concede. Grumble, grumble. So yeah, the after Lucy kind of gets her bearings, the crone says, "Hey, we need to get to Wales yesterday, because the spell is going to continue to fire off faster and faster. It's kind of like Pacific Rim. We're going to have a double event." So they need to get to Wales, and so Martha has to pull a military contact up and get a military transport plane that leaves immediately. Now, because the dragons can fly there and the humans cannot, the dragons get there first. And
no,
yes,
to Seattle. I thought you meant to Wales. No, they can't fly there. There's a whole talk about
Seattle. And Martha had called ahead to tell the police, and so the police show up with tungsten, bullet guns and all this stuff, and then they throw him into this giant metal container with electrified bars.
The funny thing is, I just imagined just a really, really tall chain link fence. In my brain, that was my mental image. I'm like, this won't stop anything.
Well, they described it as a big metal box, and so they're in there with the other dragon that Lewis warned them would that's how they were able to get the contact. They were like, "Hey, another dragon's going to pop up in Seattle." They managed to.
Is it a spoiler if I tell you what his name is going to be?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Quit bleeding books, man.
Tell me. I don't care. Tell me.
No, because then you'll start name bleeding too.
That's true. All right. So Jerry is in the cage and he is hungry. He apparently, the only reason he hasn't gone feral with hunger is because of the pain of being electrocuted over and over by trying to get out of the box. But then they stuffed 3 dragons into a box that was only meant to contain 1, and that whole scene pissed me off really bad.
That might be how you do things in Brighton, but in Seattle we do it differently. That one phrase boiled my goddamn blood. If their background is military, I actually know a friend, one of my old pen pals in my gaming group I've known since I was 10, actually served in the U.S. Marine Corps. He went through the drill. He went through all of it. If you give it a set of directions, you don't leave it to interpretation. You follow it by the number.
Yeah. Hey, there are some dragons coming. They're friends. They're going to get on the plane.
I mean, yeah, treating your friends like prisoners of war is how you get court-martialed, right?
Yes.
Actually, yes, exactly.
And so Martha shows up later, and Martha's like, "The fuck, bro?" And he's like, "What? And she's like, "I meant 1 per container. not shove all three of them in there? And then they just kind of hand wave it away, like, whatever. Well, like, because the dragons escape by heating and cooling the metal. And then they run off to go get Jerry some food. And so then the military, the Martha shows up and they're like, oh shit, the dragons escaped. And then the dragons just kind of wander out from the darkness, and they're like, oh, he was hungry.
I don't know why that's a cute scene in my head, though.
It's like, but I hope, like, part of me wanted to just, like, I think the only thing that would have made that scene fixed for me is if Martha, like, kind of gut punched him or something.
The thing is, a lot of weird things gets hand waved in these books. That being one of them, like, there should have been a bit more fallout for the not following orders scene there, right? But, like, a couple of other things, like, way back when Lucy first turned into a dragon and she started signing to the scientists, right? It's like, are we just gonna gloss over the fact that a dragon knows American Sign Language?
How did Lewis not notice a dragon doing American Sign Language and not connect that to the one person he knows that does American Sign Language?
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a stretch too, but I mean, Lewis doesn't know ASL. He knows like one or two words, but he doesn't, for all he knows she was just kind of just flailing, right?
Yeah.
Like if
he connected as soon as she drew ASL in the sand and started doing sign language. Oh, that's sign language. We need to get an interpreter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think at this point they're not really expecting Last Spell to go off a second time, so I don't know. I do see your point that it should have been like a really easy like dot connect. Like this is exactly what happened to me. Happened in a hospital. There's another hole in the wall. This poor hospital is going to have so many holes in its walls by the time everything's done. But just imagine you're the construction crew, right? You fix Lazy Scale's hole, and all of a sudden, boom, another dragon, another hole. You're like, God damn it!
Wouldn't they be happy? That's more jobs, more money.
I thought sure, but I mean, they also don't like working because they want to just sit around all day and get paid. But like, it's a hospital, so you kind of have to do it. So it's like, goddamn dragons. But yeah, it's like, I can understand your point on how that should have been a really easy dot to connect, but perhaps that nobody was just thinking about it. I mean, I think it's weirder that the police force doesn't have an ASL interpreter at all, and they had to go get Becca.
Yeah, that is actually true, considering like any movie or TV show, and I've seen a lot, Ray, so you're gonna have to take my word on this. Every single time a character is established as being mute and knowing ASL, someone in the group is like, oh shit, I took ASL for a couple years. Like, there's always someone who, for fun, took ASL. And can...
Yeah, because in high school, that's how you, quote, pass notes to your friends, is ASL.
Yeah. And so the fact that literally nobody in this book, aside from Becca, seems to know sign language is a little bullshit. And Crystal, right?
Yeah.
Well, small tangent will kind of prove their point. There was one time in Florida where there was a press conference during an emergency. I think it was one of the hurricanes approaching. And I think it was either the mayor of Jacksonville or the governor of Florida. One of the two was trying to, give tips on how to survive. And the person who was doing the sign language was just making up random bullshit. She lied on her resume and just started doing a whole bunch of just random hand waving, and it took him I think 3 days before someone caught on. I was like, that's not sign language.
Yeah, she got into a lot of fucking trouble too. Like she was arrested, and she said that she just thought it would be fun or something like that. She said something equally heartless. And it's like, dude, this was serious. Like, there are people who need this information, you moron.
Yeah.
And she's just like up there just flailing around, making all sorts of stupid gestures and like smiling the whole damn time. It's like,
oh yeah, she's having a ball with it.
That's hilarious, but horrible, but hilarious.
It's Florida. We gotta laugh at everything down here. It's hilarious. Yeah. That's the only way we survive.
But yeah, so like, yeah, a lot of stuff was just really hand waved away. And I don't know if it was just like a I don't want to bother writing about this little nuanced detail. I want to keep the story moving, or what. I mean, like, DM has admitted in other places that this was like the first like real series he wrote. Like, he did some other like personal stuff that he wants to never have let see the light of day, which I understand. I wrote like a 100-something page. I guess that's technically considered a short story, maybe novella. I wrote one in high school. And it'll never see the light of day because, oh my god, it was cringe as fuck. But he says that this was the first thing he ever officially wrote. He admits there were a lot of mistakes made, and he's just glad he's learned from them and can do better in the future. So, cut him some slack, but it's worth pointing out, like, there were some weird things. I do feel like he hates Lewis, though. because like, there's another scene, like, so when when Lucy gets Becca sent and goes crazy, and Lewis has to fight her, right? And he's like kicks her butt for a bit, but then she starts kicking his butt, and then Brandon and Jeremy show up, and they're like, "Well, we know how to fix this," and they like pull out the cologne, the axe, the whatever the fuck it is, and then fucking names. Becca is like, "I can't do that on Lucy. That's like, it's inhumane." I'm like, "Oh, but doing it, you were so eager to just fucking spray it in Lewis's face when you came into his cave while he was sleeping, but no, don't you dare do it to Lucy." It's like,
Becca had a complete 180 when Lucy became a dragon. She was suddenly like, "No, we must," but she took everything at face value with Lewis. Like, "Oh, I think dragons are really cool, and yeah, that's neat, but I'm gonna go." You know, but with Lucy, she was much more, "Don't touch my girlfriend." And
yeah, it's like, I hated that.
Yeah,
honestly, I would have been the same way as Becca if, like, say, if Ray turned into a dragon first. I'm sorry, but you get an axe to the nose, buddy.
So I don't chew on you.
Exactly.
But then
Banta turns into a dragon. I'm going to be a little more. I will be a little more cautious.
I don't know. I still don't like it. It's stupid. And then also when they're like, "Oh, that's fine. We have food. We can calm her down," and it's sesame chicken, which is Lewis's favorite thing in the world, and he doesn't get to have any of it. It's like, dude,
that
author,
broke my heart.
That's not fair. You did this 100% on purpose just to kick Lewis. I don't know why you hate him so much, but it makes no sense for them to just have that much sesame chicken on hand just in case there's a hungry dragon around. It would be much easier to keep in store and affordable to just have a whole bunch of like just ground beef or something. It didn't have to be sesame chicken. You just want to kick Lewis.
I agree. It was like, that seemed kind of mean. There was one other, so there was one scene in this book that made me feel emotional. Because longtime listeners will know that I have a huge weakness for single mom type stuff. And so when...
You're kind of weak to parents in general, because single mom, yes, but also any scene that has to do with like a dad usually also gets you too.
That's true. Usually specifically one or the other, not both. Not together. Right. But yeah, so Jeremy and Brandon show up at the house. They need to tell their mom, "Hey, we're going to Wales. Like, we need to go to Wales." And when they finally tell her the truth that Lewis is the dragon, Lucy's also now a dragon. There's a spell that's going to turn everyone into a dragon if we don't go to Wales and stop it. And the mom, after she collects herself, says, "Well, if I'm going to send my boys off to save the world, I'm at least going to make sure they get a good meal in them." And I was just like,
she starts cooking.
Yeah, and I was just like, like, I actually took a little screenshot. I take a picture of the page with my phone and then crop it.
Screenshot
of book.
A screenshot of life.
You gotta close the book twice real quick on that page.
Okay, when do you think do you think you'll ever, like, somebody at some point is going to call a picture, like with a camera, a screenshot of your life? That's going to happen. And it's going to be sad.
It's already happened. It's been happening. What the fuck are you talking
People
about?
are getting dumber.
That scene got me a little bit too. Parent stuff, I'm not nearly as weak to it as Bantamus, but it usually gets me a bit too. Like, side tangent, the scene in Moana when Moana is like, "I need to go on the adventure to save the world, the heart of Tahiti or whatever," right? And the dad's like, "No, boats are evil. You can't go into the ocean," right?
Yeah.
But then the argument gets cut off because the grandma dies. I guess spoilers for Moana, okay? The argument's cut off because the grandma dies, and so they go, and they're like at her deathbed, and she's like, and then the grandma to Moana's like, you know who you are, you need to do what you need to do, and whatever. And then she leaves before the grandma fully dies, because she needs to go and use this time to get away before the dad can stop her. So she goes to her room and starts like packing stuff up, like food. And then the mom comes in and stops in the doorway and sees her and doesn't say anything, but then it just comes and sits by her and packs up more food. Like, "Make sure you have enough. Please be safe." That destroyed me.
So we both kind of have the same similar weaknesses, but so anyway, the other scene that I really liked, I think my favorite scene in this whole book, because I saw it coming. Like, if I'm going to be the amount of things and stories that I whatever, if there was a real life villain and I was within close proximity, I would know exactly what's going to happen because I can see this shit coming. And so it was when they were in Wales. They found his cave. They're in his cave, and Last Hope is floating around Lewis and going, "Hey, at least like I want to show you something cool before you undo my life's work." And the very first thought in my head is, oh, he's trying to distract him. He's trying to get him. He's trying to remove him from the situation. And I'm like, don't fucking fall for it. And he kind of falls for it. He goes into the library and he's like distracted. And then Last Hope is like, let me just move this orrery and just, and then he,
dude, the library is how you distract me. I'd be like, dude.
And so he plays with the orrery, which relocates the exit to his lair to somewhere else in the world that is predetermined point. And so you find out that in the mountain range outside of what's the name of the Brighton whatever
Barrington
Hills, that's one of the exits to his thing.
No, they're not predetermined points. It's like a globe with a couple of different axes on it, like a gyroscope, and you make them line up like coordinates, like an X. And there's another one for the Z axis or whatever. And so you get to pick any point you want.
Yeah, and so I saw at that point what Last Hope was trying to do. He was trying to get Lewis to exit the tunnel into the and then he would have the orrery change and strand him there so that he couldn't undo the spell. And then thankfully Lewis realized at the last second and went, oh my God, you're distracting me, and then ran back. And that's when Last Hope, I think that was what's finally snapped, and Last Hope went full evil. Like at that point, the gloves were off and he was,
and again, more of me just like, I don't like what they do to Last Hope because the unforgivable thing that he did.
Oh, soul-voring Lewis?
We're not using the word vor. ripping the soul out of Lewis and leaving nothing but the dragon behind, which is that's basically mind control. Okay, which I hate.
It's not a soul vor,
right? Don't use the word vor on the podcast.
Okay. Oh come on, we could use it ironically.
No.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Take it out. It's fine. Teresa makes brand new words. No, don't learn that word. It's like a little child. We gotta keep him away from words.
I mean, if I accept that this podcast is going to be 18 plus forever, no kids allowed, then sure, you can use Solvor and deal with it. It's just, I foresee teenagers eventually getting a whiff of this, but I guess...
Oh, teenagers have already discovered that word from surfing the internet alone. It'd be fine.
Ugh.
I discovered worse back in my day. These kids are too soft.
I'm the white woman who's just pearl clutching like, oh, Solvor.
There, we reached our quota. Everyone said it once.
I'm just a pearl clutching dragon. There's an image in my head. But yeah, shit, my tangent, way to go. Right, so it's basically mind control, and the thing is, like, earlier, book 2 or book 3, I can't remember, where he tried to give Lewis his memory, and it was like, we can never do that again because he sees how terrible, how horrifying this is to lose part of yourself by taking part of your memory or part of your soul, whatever, and like getting rid of it. And then he just completely backtracks on that, like, nope, I'm just going to completely delete you now. Goodbye.
It's also a little weird considering Last Hope has said multiple times that he's tried everything and that I guess he's just doomed to be a ghost and Lewis is taking his place. And then like in this book, he's like, I could have done this at any time, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it felt... What's the opposite of a Deus Ex? Because this was a problem, not a solution. But it felt like it was just pulled out of nowhere. Like, hey, I'm going to do this now, even though it's against my morals and my character. And we need something to flip me into a bad guy. But
yeah, it was. This evilness seemed very forced, just to have a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the forced redemption at the end, which still kind of bugged me.
And I think the problem is definitely because, like, again, everything moves too fast, right? You went from him being a decent fellow to, what the fuck, why is he now an evil asshole? To, oh, he's sorry, he's a decent fellow again. All in the same, like, 6.5 hour book.
You were looking for the opposite of a Deus Ex Machina. So I found some answers, and everybody seems to agree. And I'll just read this one little bit. Deus Ex Machina is a crutch or a hack. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card to the story. The author has painted themselves into a corner and no longer wants to invest effort into it. The opposite of that is just good writing. Sorry.
Oh man, I talked.
So I guess it's still a Deus Ex Machina. It doesn't mean it's a solution. It just means it's you cheated. Okay, so it's still a Deus Ex.
They say
it's an evil Deus Ex.
It could also be Chekhov's gun is the opposite of a Deus Ex Machina
because it had enough foreshadowing to come. Yeah. So in my head, I thought Deus Ex meant it was a solution coming out of nowhere, but I guess it's just anything coming out of nowhere.
I talked to Mr. Gillmore on Twitch yesterday. He's looking forward to listening to this episode.
I know, right? I granted him the Patreon tier access so that he can see the raw files before it gets edited, just because it's about his work. So like that felt fair, right? And yeah, so he loves listening to these. He's looking forward to him, and it's like, hey, author man, I still like your stories. I acknowledge you admit you made mistakes. This is just me trying to make content for the podcast.
Well, I think you'd be doing him a disservice if if you were lying, then you would be doing him a disservice. If you are passionate about the books and you do have problems with them, nothing is perfect.
Yeah. I think it's fair that I express my opinions, express the problems I have with it and all that. And I don't think I'm being completely unfair.
No.
I don't think I'm being overly mean about it.
I think the more you love something, the more critical you are of it.
Yep.
But the best way, if I were DM Gillmore and I were offended by anything that you said, my response would be, then you write a fucking book.
I will.
No, you won't.
Eventually.
Like,
I'm stuck in this endless loop of planning. It's like, because my greatest fear, and this is something that happened with my 100-page novella in high school or whatever, right? My greatest fear is I write this much, whatever, like a third, a half, all of the first book, whatever, and then I'm like, oh shit, I should have done this instead, and then I go back and redo the whole thing. And so because of that, I'm stuck forever in the planning loop, trying to make sure I have everything nailed down. I'm like, all right, am I okay with how this goes? It's like, no, I think I'd rather do this instead. Fuck. Right?
Yeah. I've been stuck in that phase for like fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
Ray and I have agreed to be accountability buddies on writing.
Oh, you're actually going to agree with that?
Well, I already did several times, but we just never have started. But I think that we should start now. And so by this coming weekend, Ray, we should at least have a 3-page synopsis of like a rough, like you were as if the book were already written and you were going to boil it down in a couple pages for somebody. Bullet points. Let's do that. Let's in 1 week.
You don't really go by pages. You go by word count.
Bullet points. Diletan, you're invited / forced at gunpoint.
I'm forced fucking shotgun wedding to this. Okay.
There will be no there will be no like minimum or maximum to how many pages that we will end up writing in the long run, but I think we should all write something.
And I think it'll be more powerful if we try to do it at the same time in a Discord call, even if it's just silent, just so we're all there doing it together.
That actually would be the only way to motivate me.
I know.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll have to pick a random morning after our work, before Diletan's work. We just sit down for half an hour and just do something. Yeah. Start really teeny tiny, like 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever, just to get used to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Last Hope, Ghost Dad. Thing is, I loved Last Hope. I did. I loved him. He was one of, if not my favorite character in the story up until this point. Because, like, if I imagine myself as Lewis, then I have this ghost dad who's guiding me, and I loved and adored him. And I would have been a much better student than Lewis, because I would have been like, please tell me more. But so just seeing the way he was treated in this book just breaks my heart. And then having him be like a really, really fast redemption at the end, but it ends with him being like, all right, I'm in the afterlife now, goodbye. I'm like, no, I still need you. So then there's a couple, so branching paths here. We can talk about Lewis for a bit. The part that I said I'll explain why he doesn't want to be called Lewis anymore. Or we can talk about Becca, because, oh my god, Becca.
I saw her transforming into a dragon from a mile away. As soon as they brought up the problem, it's like, I'm immortal, or I'll live for like 800 years, you only live for 70. It's like, okay, she's going to turn herself into a dragon. Yeah, well...
Oh, the breakup scene.
The breakup scene where she's like, I'm going to...
I have some thoughts on not so much the breakup scene, but just the the love side arc, side story, whatever you want to call it. So, which one should we tackle first? There's a lot of thoughts.
I gotta tackle Tristanix first. He's like, I read the description of book 10 because Mr. Gilmore did post a link to the release. Yeah, and he said I got the spoiler from reading the description. I knew someone was going to transform into a dragon. I figured that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that was Lucy was going to.
The thing is, I knew several people were going to, because when I bought all the books, the cover of book 6 has many dragons in the background. I'm like, all right, something's happening here. We're either turning a lot more humans into dragons, or we're finding a lost colony, or something.
As soon as Lucy got turned into a dragon, I knew there was going to be a lot of. My main prediction is that the main cast, aside from Jeremy, is going to turn into a dragon. So Brandon is going to turn into a dragon, and he's going to cry over the fact that he can't hold any of his guns anymore. It's going to be tragic. The worst transformation. But it's the problem and the solution were so fucking there in your face, you could not see it.
Well, here's the thing. Brandon is not a dragon by the end of this book, and the spell circle is broken, so checkmate, atheist.
Damn it. Well, good. Brandon still gets his guns. It's a happy ending.
But yeah, okay, so do you guys want to hear me rant about Becca, rant about the romance arc, or talk a bit about Lewis at the end of the book?
Becca.
Okay, Becca. Hater. Hater. She started out good. I think I said a lot of this last episode when we did book 3. She started out good. She was Lewis's friend, and she was good as a friend. At this point, if you think I was upset about how easy Lucy took to being a dragon, oh my god, Becca is so much worse. Like, hey, I'm gonna now be a dragon and save the world because Lewis has been brainwashed. And I'm also able to do magic, and I'm also super powerful, and I'm gonna be like the best dragon there ever was.
Oh, so she became a Mary Sue?
I feel like she became a Mary Sue, and I fucking hate it. Because
Lewis was lazy. You gotta keep this in mind. That was a whole, point of Lewis's character.
It would have been better character growth for him to get over that and rise to the occasion, or whatever, instead of just having another random person be like, nope, I'm taking the reins now. Dragon mode activate and kick everyone's butt.
Dragon mode activate.
That's what it felt like, because she just like basically doesn't rip it off, but feels like she just rips off the protection spell and she's like, I'm a dragon now, roar, and is immediately able to fight another dragon who only has dragon memories left, so is now a proper dragon, and beat him and cast magic while doing it, and it's stupid. Hate it. And it gets worse in book 5 and book 6. Hate it. Haven't read book 7 plus because she's the main character in those books. I'm like, I don't like.
I know this is going to sound really mean spirited, and I'm sorry, but that almost makes me more excited about the next few books. Knowing that it upsets you makes me want to read them.
So look, by the end of this book, the first time I read it, I was extremely upset with the way everything went. I didn't like what they did with Lucy. I hated what they did with Becca. I didn't like what they did with the romance arc, which I'll get to in a second. I didn't like what they did with Last Hope. So I was just very salty. But then book 5 is my favorite book. I love it. I didn't like what they did to Lewis at the end of this book either, but like book 5, I was okay with it. But yeah, so there's my...
You're also upset because Becca became a black dragon.
I mean, the color doesn't really matter that much.
So I might have missed it or breezed over it, but he said when he first saw Becca as a dragon, and she had no horns, and he was like, that's got to have some sort of significance. What is the significance of no horns?
I'm trying to remember exactly. I don't think it has to do with
horns?
It does. I don't think it has to do with her being black. It's definitely something about her physiology. It may have been the no horns. It may have been that I think she's got frills rather than spines.
Yeah, she does have frills.
It's something about her, and I don't remember it. I think it might be a little bit of everything all coming together to create this picture. But she is basically a very rare subspecies that is so powerful in magic that, like, in fantasy terms, she would grow up to be an archmage and be like the most powerful dragon in the land.
Okay. Poor Ray.
She has so much magical power that she's like, oh my god. And the reason why I hate this, and I've expressed this before to DM himself in private messages. So Lewis was chosen to be the first dragon because the spell picked the best person for the job, right? Which was, he had the most magical power because of the whole fair blood breeding program that the crone put in. He was the most magically adept person. That's why he was picked first. That's why the crone was so upset when she lost him, because he was like the prime creation or whatever, and was supposed to get matched with Becca to create an even more powerful fair blood, whatever, right? But no, he has nothing. He can't. He's a terrible hunter. He's a terrible dragon in general. Can't breathe ice. Has no magical power whatsoever. And then nope, here comes Becca.
Okay, so I fully understand that you would know more about this than I would, but I'm pretty sure they said in the book that this, like, even Last Hope admitted, he goes that like he was an interesting choice and probably not intended. But also the crone said that the spell was trying to hit Becca initially and missed and hit Lewis because of his close proximity to Becca.
No. It hit Lewis first because he was the best. It bounced off Becca and hit Lucy because they were touching at the end of the last book. The author told me that the reason why Lewis doesn't have any magic is because the spell ate it up. When it turned him, because of how fast and how violent it was, it ate up the magic, and he's left with none.
Oh.
But then I'm like, well, that's bullshit, because Becca turned even faster than Lewis did. Should it not have just eaten up all her magic too?
Oh, backed me into a corner.
Again, he understands he made some mistakes. It's the first thing he's written, and I understand that. But just understand that I love Lewis so much, and I hate Becca so much, that this is just...
One of the most exciting things that I found was I found a funny typo in the book, and I sent it to Ray. Here it is. No, that's not it. Where is it? Yeah, right here. Says Lucy flipped Crystal the bird in response before rubbing at her neck. She winced as her claws brushed against the muscles surrounding her aching fire glance.
Let's not make fun of typos.
I'm not making fun of it. I just
he read my physical book. I checked. It's also there in the Kindle version.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so if you're able to like edit a Kindle book, then it's there. I'll try to find a page number or something. But rip physical book.
Yeah, it's where they're extracting the fire chemical out of Lucy. Lucy volunteers for it because she's trying to show up Lewis. And so while they're extracting it, that scene was described really well. Because she's like,
it bothered me because I hate needles.
So do I. And she's like, so just tap your claw twice if it gets too much. And she opens her jaws and, that's also another part that I had saved because I thought it was funny, where Last Hope says that, like, how much do you want to bet that she bites her arm off? And then Lewis just goes, Last Hope, you're dead. You have nothing to bet. And I was like, oh! I was like,
burn.
Fucking burn.
But yeah, I don't... Crystal is a weird, like, love-hate thing.
I can't stand Crystal.
I think her character is really interesting, but I don't like how she treats the dragons because she's just, like, not asking for permission half the time. She's like, touch, take, done.
She keeps treating them like animals and keeps having to be reminded that they are fully sentient beings. And every time they remind her, she forgets the very next time. It's really annoying.
Yeah. But, like, point is, don't like the aspect of her, but in her defense, this one time she backed off the second that Lucy tapped out.
Yeah, she was lying. She's like, we're like halfway there, and Lewis is like, no, you're not.
Well, I mean, that's something that doctors do with patients all the time. You lie to make them relax or feel better or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna go on 3, okay? 1, yanked.
Oh, I got some stories about that.
But yeah, aside from the hatred of needles and the general like unease around Crystal, I kind of liked that scene just because it got Lewis very protective, and I just feel like, I don't know, it might be misogynistic, but I just liked the idea of him being protective and trying to protect the female dragon.
I liked that she looked at him like, why would you let me do that? And he goes, she's like, what was it? She got really,
don't ever let me do that again.
And he's like, yeah, now you know why I wouldn't. Because she volunteered for it so readily, and he's like, don't let him do it. It's gonna fucking hurt. And she's just like, heh. And then does it.
I think at this time she was still riding the high of, I'm a better dragon than Lewis.
Yeah. And then she got put in her place.
You bitch.
Basically, we can all agree that Jerry is the best dragon. So
he is the second best dragon. You'll see the best dragon next book.
Oh, okay. Is it the bad guy? I through osmosis of you guys talking about it and someone not spoilering something. I don't know. Or maybe I think it was actually you that there's some dragon that like wants to kill all the humans or something.
No.
Okay, then I don't know what I'm talking about. There were dragon names from this book series that I did not recognize, and I still don't recognize. And someone mentioned something about another dragon.
I don't know. You'll stop trying to figure it out. You'll get there. But yeah, Jerry is second best. He's adorable. Oh, I guess just real fast, I want to just read this note because I wrote it down. On the topic of Becca being bullshit. A point. I feel like this is a point in my favor of these books move too fast and they should be at least twice as long. You had Becca getting the protective spell put on her by the crone and then immediately discarded in a scene that was supposed to be like a noble sacrifice type of scene in the same book. And usually that type of stuff happens a book apart. Like book 4 would have been her getting the protective charm and then book 5 would have been her discarding it, right?
Yeah.
There's usually a bit more build up to that. So that's just like make longer books. Write more. Yeah, I'm actually going to read book 7+ after we finish this first series because it's like, it's time.
You have fun with that.
Yeah. We'll see. Like I said, it follows Becca and we'll see if I can stomach that. Another small aside, at one point they're doing a history lesson with Lewis and Lucy and they're asking, like, do you know who founded the city of Blackfang? Was it Blackfang? Why, yes. And then they explain how he was a hybrid and how he had a single black fang that kind of protruded from his snout, right? And I'm sitting there with my conspiracy board. And I'm like, is Blackfang supposed to be Darktooth? Is this what's going on? Is this happening?
I knew you would draw that conclusion.
Is this an homage? Is that what this is?
It's a crossover episode?
Yeah, I need to know if that was just random dumb luck or if it's supposed to be an homage. All right, guys. My last note. This is going to be weird. So, I guess don't crucify me.
Already getting in the nails.
Have the nails ready cuz like maybe I deserve it, but understand that I'm saying this as a gay man, all right? Throughout this book, like, once I got over the fact that Lucy was a dragon because, again, it's going too fast and she's too good at it and all that, I really started shipping Lewis and Lucy. Even though Lucy's is, like, lesbian, right, and supposed to be with Becca, it's like, I guess just all the jokes that not jokes, but all the comments that Last Hope and then later on Crystal make about, you can save the species now. It's like,
Sorry.
Yeah, I just started shipping them, like, really hard. Like, you know what? I understand that she's a lesbian, and I kind of get the idea that if she had, like, started turning straight just to be with Lewis, that some people may have had a real big problem with that, because how dare you, right? We're allowed to ship straight characters together and make them gay, but how dare you make a gay character turn straight, right? But it's like, I really wanted them to end up together, and, like, perhaps even, like, a weird love triangle with Becca, who would have stayed human in this ship when I was, like, picturing it. It's like, because,
Scandalous.
Yeah, love triangle, right? Polyamorous, what?
Interspecies.
It's like Lewis, like, even in Mating Flight, it's actually the sequel to Mating Flight, The World of My Claws, but you guys are probably never going to read that, so I'm just going to say it anyway. So, yeah, like, Yathak is gay, right? Yathak, like, names hard. Mm-hmm. Yathak is gay, but at the end of the second book, even though he's married to... I can't remember the name. He's married to the other Drake and all that. And then so Jothki ends up with someone else. Even though Yathak is gay, he was still going to mate with Jothki at some point just for the sake of children, because she didn't get enough breeding going on during the mating flight, and in that universe, dragons need 3 fathers, basically, to help with genetic diversity. So he was still, for the sake of offspring, he was still going to breed with her at some point. It was also going to be like basically like a slap in the face to his father or something, because, look, child, or whatever, right? So it's like, it can happen. Like, even though Lucy loves Becca and doesn't really like guys, she could still, do the thing for the sake of prosperity. And that's why it would be like a really weird like love triangle. Like Becca's already bi. She could love both Lewis and Lucy. And I mean, she's even in his horde. So it's like, that's the ship that I wanted. But like, I understand a lot of people are going to be like, no, you can't make a lesbian go with a guy. How dare you? How fucking dare you?
Well, because even Lucy came to that conclusion when she was trying to break up with Becca on the plane. She was like, I guess I gotta kind of be with Lewis.
Mm-hmm. And I was all for that.
Yeah, I was too.
It's like, good, high five. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm done. What are your thoughts, Dilettante?
It is a book.
Did you like the book?
It had words. It was indeed a book.
Did you like the book?
I enjoyed the previous three. This one, I'm kind of mad. I'm sharing Ray's mad anger about Last Hope.
You liked Ghost Dad too.
I did like Ghost Dad. He was a fun character. It was a unique one I haven't seen in a while.
Even after listening to all of you and talk about it, I don't really feel like Last Hope changed all that much. He was just a much more excited about the prospect of his life's work coming to fruition.
He changed considerably. He went from being a ghost to being in heaven. That's a big change. He's
point
gone.
Being is that I was not bothered by Last Hope. The difference between the first couple books and this one, it was like, it's Last Hope.
There was a very drastic change. His relationship with Lewis, he threw that to the ground. He threw that to the side in hopes of trying to save his fucking renegade spell. What made Last Hope so endearing was how he treated Lewis and how they grew close together. And then it just tossed it to the wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
literally ripped it out.
The previous three books were... His character growth is literally, he's becoming a father figure. He's starting to care for Lewis, and he's even starting to soften up a little bit on his views. Like, that was his character growth, and it's like, nope,
because
gone.
He thought he was... All right, this is my take on it. It's different than that. My take on it is, he was softening up. He was becoming more empathetic. He was becoming more loving because he thought he had Lewis in his pocket. And when Lewis expressed disinterest in when the plan was revealed, I think Last Hope expected Lewis to be like, oh, sweet, more dragons. Let's do whatever we can to make sure that happens. But instead, Lewis turned on him. And having someone that you trust and love, as he might have done with Lewis, turn on you will make you snap and act erratically. And that's how I interpreted it, is that, yes, he was softening up. Maybe he was even just lying, but he was softening up because he wanted to make sure Lewis was on his side. And when it was obvious that Lewis was no longer on his side, he snapped. And that's why he suddenly went crazy and started just becoming maniacal. Because the one person he thought he could trust, he couldn't. I mean, think of it this way. Your hated enemy shows up at your doorstep, and the person that you trusted the most immediately moves over to their side. Like, no, I'm going to help your hated enemy undo everything that you've tried to do. That would make you go a little crazy. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I don't know. It's like, maybe it could make someone go crazy, but maybe it also makes you take a step back and think, hey, maybe it is a little too much.
I mean, I know I would probably have the same reaction that Last Hope did.
Why Last Hope couldn't compromise and just like get all the Fae blood dragons and then start making more dragons from there? There are no dragon slayers. The Faes would have been gone. They would have been completely fucking fine.
Again, I'm still of the
They're a protected species by the government.
Yeah, I'm still a mindset of like even trying to just look at it from a Last Hope point of view. It's like, I don't know, dragons still need humans as minions or something. It's like, keep some around. This comes down to our own personal philosophies on dragons versus humans. Bantam was always wipe them out. I was always subjugate them, and Dilettante was ignore them.
Yeah, Ray says
that's our three villain outlooks on dragons and humans.
I was integrate for earning trust.
Oh, so you were on the human side.
I was there. You got what you wanted. Because my mentality is kill all the humans. Like, just
mine was subjugate. It's like wiping them out's a bit.
I have not once yet come across a story where the humans are entirely without blame. You know, like the humans don't go to war at every fucking opportunity they can. Don't constantly kill dragons because, hey, it's fun or it's profitable or because I don't agree with that dragon's views. If there were ever a book written where the humans were not the cause of or solution to or integral to something terrible happening to a dragon, then I'll take back my words. But humans are always the fucking problem. In every book involving dragons I've ever read, the humans are a problem.
Well, I mean, every
the humans
story's
are a problem
gotta
in
have
anything.
Yeah, that's
a
true.
problem.
It's like, I'm so sick and tired of humans either being the almighty saviors or the almighty destroyers. I'm tired of it.
The two faces of humanity.
Because, like, even in Wings of Fire, I was actually kind of excited with Wings of Fire because the humans were basically savages. They ran around with sticks and spears and wearing fur, and then all of a sudden they became a main character in the story, and I hated it.
I can't remember exact book titles right now, but I remember reading some books with dragons and humans, and the human mentality in that was very, I think the word is colonialism, where it's like, our way is best, and we're going to teach you the proper way, and so we have to, like, subjugate the dragons because they don't understand the error of their own ways, kind of deal. And it's like, that's gross. Whatever. I don't know. It would help if I remember what book that was from, but I've read so many books recently trying to just scout them out.
Yeah, see, it's your problem, Mr. Avid Reader. You're blending them all together. It's all becoming one.
I gotta scout them out so I know which ones to make you guys read.
It's all becoming one giant dragon story. You can't filter them through.
The tapestry is complete. It is one giant dragon story. That's my end goal. Just after reading everything, just connect them all. You know, like the Pixar theory? I'm gonna have the dragon theory. Alright, any other thoughts before we wrap up? I went through all of my notes. They're all crossed out now. Do you guys have anything that you wanted to do?
Last Hope, not knowing about homosexuality, was the funniest shit I ever read.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. It's like I feel like there were gay dragons back in the past, but I guess he was raised alone, so he wouldn't know. Whatevs. But yeah, okay. So I guess we'll still do the rating. Dilettante, this particular book, X out of 5.
I'm going to have to give it a 2 out of 5.
The Bantam.
I will give this a 4 out of 5.
I'm going to say 2 out of 5 with Dilettante. It's like, this was a real, like, rocky point in the series. It sets up a lot of stuff that I love about the 5th book, but, like, this on its own is just like, ugh. Dilettante. Trisnix wants to know why 2 out of 5.
Ray, what's your reasoning for 2 out of 5?
You're just gonna +1 me? Last Hope's character arc was completely butchered. Lewis was kicked while he was down multiple times. Becca the Mary Sue came out of nowhere.
Most of my gripes are just with Last Hope in general. I don't really care. My opinions about Becca are more indifferent. But my rating's mostly about Last Hope, because that did sting a bit.
Ghost Dad butchered. Oh, right. You guys were curious, confused, whatever, on why Lewis doesn't want to be called Lewis anymore at the end of the book?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I was reading
His soul got left behind in the nether.
But when he comes back, when he first sees Becca as a dragon, and they keep calling him, like she keeps saying, it's Becca, and he's like, that's not a dragon name, and she keeps saying Lewis, and he's like, that's not my name, it's Lazy Scales, and it's like, why is he so upset about it now?
Look, when he was leaving fucking Dragon Heaven, there was a part, yeah, so he's flying away, going, his dragon form is going back to the mortal realm, but the bridge collapses and his human self falls back down. So the dragon personality, Last Hope, is left in the dragon body, but Lewis, the human personality, or the human soul, I guess, is trapped in the nether, that the crow explains.
Yes. Exactly. So Lewis, in the real world, Lewis is only inhabited by the dragon. At this point, he has no human memories at all.
Oh, that sucks.
He got split in half.
Okay.
Also, another thing I had hated, that whole
at this point in the story, I didn't like that. That was like, that sucked. I hate this. Why would he do that? Because I don't like the whole idea of tampering with the soul. But it actually kind of pays for itself in book 5. It's really good. Yeah.
Well, we got 4 weeks to read the next book, Dilettante.
Yay!
This time, all right.
You will still last minute at the last day.
So
I'm not. I will.
I'm not going to, and here's why. Because
I'm talking about dilettantes. Like, don't you yay me? You're still going to do it last minute.
Listen, I got 3 weeks and 6 days to enjoy myself.
I'm going to write not a script, but a generalized. I'll make a list of like the major scenes in order, and we'll try that for the next book, because I do feel like we meander too much.
The thing is some meandering is okay because like when we're talking about Lucy, it makes sense that we would jump from her transformation to her breaking up with Becca to her at the very end. Like it makes sense. Some meandering makes sense because they're at least connected. Yeah. But yeah. So this episode went on a little long, but it makes sense because this had a lot of hot topic issues that Ray had to get off his chest.
Hot takes. Spitting
like
fire.
Brandon's guns.
All the hot takes. Oh, I'm spitting so much fire. I'm spitting lightning at this point. That's how bad it is. Again, all these opinions because this is still my favorite book.
Now
series,
I know how to control Ray.
With all the complaining. Yeah, with all the complaining I've done about this book, this is still my favorite series.
I know how to control Ray now. If I ever want to like decimate an entire countryside, I just need to get up on top of Ray's head and just whisper in his ear about all the stuff that pisses him off and just send him into a fucking rage and then just point at a city and be like, they said that. And then just watch him go to town.
Rah! Kaiju Ray activate.
Kaiju!
F's in the chat for Brandon's guns, everybody.
I still know one small spoiler thing that I don't know if Dilettante knows, and I think it's great, and I can't wait.
No, he doesn't know. I told you so you would understand why I think Brandon was Dilettante.
And I can't wait. Oh my god.
So it's not the obsession with guns? I was thinking that was the whole like tie-in as to why I'm Brandon.
It's adjacent to that, but it gets much better. It
gets so much better.
Please, is he addicted to chicken?
No. I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah, the one tiny little spoiler that Ray gave me. As soon as I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
But as soon as I read it, I went, "Holy fuck! That is Dilettante. That is exactly what he would do. Exactly. It was so perfect." And I died. I was.
The bantam.
It was the bantam. Yeah, it was on call with you, right? Or you typed it.
I may have been in your room
or something,
or something.
But it was really fucking good. So yeah, just let that stew in your brain for the next 4 weeks.
Yay!
It's more like 6 weeks. He's gonna get it in book 6, so it's gonna be like 6 weeks.
Yay!
Yay!
and I need to remember timestamps so that I can just like clip that out.
Yep. So that's our opinions on book 4 of Laser Scales, Broken Horns. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sitting through my several tirades. I understand I went like on the warpath this episode.
Every episode, the one thing that you can always rely on is Ray going, "I'm so worried we're not going to have enough content to fill an episode." Now we're coming up on 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It's always my biggest fear.
Listen.
Every time. All right, but so thank you for coming. Like I said at the beginning, next episode we're doing our anniversary spectacular. So there's going to be a small break taken from the books, but after that, we'll come back and finish off the series, book 5 and book 6. Not at the same time. That's the next 2 episodes after that. Because after we do that, we'll get to do an interview with Mr. Gillmore and pick his brain. I just realized we never introduced ourselves at the beginning of the episode. How important do you think that actually is?
They know who we are at this point.
I mean, we the problem with podcasts is you always got to assume this is going to be like the first one someone listens to.
Who starts on book 4?
Who sees? All right, first of all, I don't know what Ray is titling these podcast episodes, but are you saying like, you know, book 4 Broken Horns, or are you saying Broken Horns?
You know, I'm not entirely sure, so let me go check
because
real
if
fast.
You're not saying book 4, then someone could just be like, what? And then like halfway through the episode realize they're listening.
We have stated.
I'm not giving book numbers.
You need
like
to put book numbers.
Yeah, so like the first episode is called Lazy Scales and Idle Claws, then it's Pete's Dragons, and then the next one was called Dull Teeth. I'm not saying book numbers in them at all.
You need to say.
I'll probably
change
the titles.
We are reiterating though, like at the beginning, super spoilers. We do say like, hey, after the previous books, the listeners know.
The problem is, I think if I said Lazy Scales book 4 Dull Teeth, that's just a really long title.
So. Well, anyway, I am Dylan, the Dilettante, the dragon of the bed.
You're Dylan. Whatever. It'll probably be fine with no introductions this one time. We just need to remember for next time.
Okay.
But yeah. Do you want to give the plugs again, or are we fine because it's at the beginning?
We did it at the beginning. We should be good.
Okay. All right. So we're good to just go. Just everybody just shuffle out of the cave.
Yeah.
Remember, if you want to be a part of our audience and listen and see Din Din's trouble with his headset, all you have to do is pay $5 a month.
Once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Go home.